Good evening, gentlemen. The purpose of this video is to demonstrate some of the advanced features of N1MM Plus in regards to function keys and call history files, as well as setting up and using a ARRL sweepstakes log. The actual method of entering exchange information in sweepstakes is a little bit different from other contests, and it can be confusing at first, but once you know what to expect and how it works, I think you will find that it's a pretty cool feature. So without any further ado, I've got just an entry window in front of me here, and I've got 4 modes because this is a DX log. First thing I'm going to do is create a new log in the current database. One of the cool features of N1MM is after you use it for 1 year, if you've operated a contest before, it will remember the details of how you set it up. So I've been using this version of N1MM for about 4 years now, and when I say I want a log type SSCW, ARRL sweepstakes CW, November, and I click it, it remembers some of my exchange information from last year. Notice that it normally says in the exchange area down here, it says omit the RST. That is to say, for CQ Worldwide, you would just enter 05 for the exchange. However, in SS, and this SS, this little part here is always here, but it's really only effective for sweepstakes, this particular contest. It says A 56 Eastern Massachusetts, and for me it has put A 98 Eastern Pennsylvania. Well, this year I'm going to enter unlimited or assisted, and my check is 67. I'm going to be single up, I'm going to be high power, CW, and assisted with 1 transmitter. That's all that needs to be addressed on this page, but we now want to go to the associated files page. And notice that last year I used a CW function key called SSCW. Great. In addition, last year I used a call history file called SSCW 2021 version 004 or -004.txt. Now normally I won't check the call history file until the day before the contest or the day of the contest, because people will be getting in touch with the guy who does the call history files, VE2FK, and saying, hey, I'm not going to be in Eastern Pennsylvania this year. I'm going to be operating remote at the remote station from Eastern New York. So can you put me in Eastern New York for this year's call history file? And so on. So I try not to update the call history file until the last minute, but I'm going to demonstrate it right now. By clicking the change button, it says the newest call history file that matches this contest name is Sweepstakes CW 003 dated 2022-10/31, or 2 days ago from right now. Okay to download this and assign it to this contest? And I will say yes. And notice now that it says SSCW.003. It has taken the date out of there, or the year out of there. Great. I have now downloaded this year's call history file, but if I actually operate Sweepstakes CW, I might update it again just before the contest begins, just to be on the safe side and have the most recent version. And if I check it, if I click change and it says, hey, it's SSCW 003, and I say, hey, that's the one I've already got, well, fine, I won't redo it. If you say no, it'll say go ahead and choose the one that you want. That's how we loaded that special FRC call history file for the CQ Worldwide. So no, I don't want to change it. It's SSCW 003 for this year. And for now, I'm going to demonstrate this. I noticed that at least one of the two people that I have am making this particular video for always use the default CW or CW default messages as opposed to SSB default messages, and they modify that same file every contest. Well, that's nice. It works. I'm not arguing that it works. It certainly does work. But when you go and operate the same contests again next year that you did this year, you're going to have to change it again. Why do it twice? So in my case, I've got SSCW macros, or MC, and I'll come back and demonstrate the changing of these at the end of the contest by using SSCW MC file from last year. I should have my messages already set up for me. So I'm going to click OK. And up it comes. And it says call history files. One file with 13,000 call signs were imported. And everything's hunky-dory with the call history file. Well, if the call history file is okay, then K3WJV should probably show up inside there. And sure enough, there's K3WJV with a check of 63 in eastern Pennsylvania. I will wipe that contact because that's not what we're going to demonstrate now. If I actually get to the point where I can hear my rig, and now we should all be able to hear it, I think. Okay, now I can hear it. I can check my macro files. I can actually take a look at them. Here's the macro files, and CQ is SSSS my call. All right. My exchange number uniform K2XR 67 Eastern Pennsylvania. That's normal. My exchange or my thank you. I don't actually send all I send is TU, but I notice I also put a clear RIT in here. So if I've actually used my RIT during the contact, this will automatically set it back to 0 every time during my running. His call is an exclamation point. F6 for 2 question marks. It sends a question mark. If I need his number, F7. If I need his precedence or his power level, it sends it. Looks like these are all okay. QSO worked before, blah, 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 etc. Search and pounce messages. QRLs is frequency in use. The exchange is the same. I send an R because he will have sent his exchange, and if I received it, then I will send my exchange. Otherwise, I'll ask for a fill. So I received it, then the number, uniform, K2XR 67 EPA, great. Thank you, nothing. There is no thank you message in search and pounce. F4 is my call, his call, blah, 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 blah. I check all these and they look pretty good. I'm not going to change those, but I would certainly verify them. F4, F6. F6 is question marks. F7 number. F8. Check. And that's about it. I wouldn't test the rest of these messages at this point in time. But let's go and take a look at how this actually works. The guy's call sign would go here. And we've got the sent number. And notice that instead of having individual areas for each of the exchange pieces of information, all we have is one giant field. And this is where it gets confusing, but in actual fact, it's pretty cool. So if I work, well, let's take K3WJV again. I called CQ, he calls me. So I hit enter for enter sends message. And now he starts sending to me. We have a check of 67. I'm going to stop the receiver audio for a minute. The call history file has filled in his 63 EPA, but I expect his number. And basically, this is where we start typing in information. So when I actually called him, it automatically advanced to the end of this exchange. And I'm expecting from Bill to get his serial number. So let's say he sends me number 3B. So I send 3B. I type in 3B. Notice that up here, this is what it will log if you hit enter. So it says 3B K3WJV 63 Eastern Pennsylvania. That's what I've got. But what happens if this year Bill is in Eastern Pennsylvania? What if he's in Northern New York? Hey, that's a nice multiplier. He just decided to go over the border there, and he's put himself either in Western New York or Northern New York. So instead of sending Eastern Pennsylvania, he sends Western New York. Well, all I have to do, I don't go back and type I don't go back and change EPA. No. After he sends 3B and he sends his check of 63 and then he sends Northern New York or Western New York, I type Western New York. Notice now that I've typed Western New York, it says 3B K3WJV 63 Western New York. And then I realize he sent the wrong check, so he sends his check again. And now notice that it thinks that it's 3B K3WJV 71 Western New York. Now how does it know the difference between the check number and the serial number? Well, the serial number and the precedence will always go together. So if he sent 123 QRP, that'd be 123Q. Now, I don't have to go back and check it. Now it says I've got 123Q K3WJV 71 Western New York. And finally, I'm satisfied with that, so I go back so I can hear what I'm saying again. And when I hit enter, this time, I should get a thank you. And now I'd hit enter again for my enter sends message. Now NY6DX calls me. I hit enter. And he starts sending K2XR, Roger, your number 101, Bravo. And notice now that it says I've got 101 Bravo NY60X 89 NLI, and sure enough, that's where he is this year, and I'm happy. So I hit enter, and then enter. And sometimes I don't even have to hit enter. Sometimes after I hit thank you, somebody who's been waiting for me because he grabbed a spot or something will call, and I don't even have to call a CQ. Sometimes I'll hit F4 before calling a CQ just to let people know if you got here by clicking a spot, I'm still here. And the final example would be what happens if I work somebody who isn't in call history file. So N2YFH answers my CQ. And Michelle says, Roger, Roger, your number 69, Alpha, check 01, Eastern Pennsylvania. Enter. Got it. Now looking at our log, everything is as we had hoped. We've got a contact with K3WJV, contact number 1. It's a multiplier. Contact with 2 with NY6DX, also a multiplier, and all the information is there as we said it. So once you've got the fact that you just keep typing, whether if you make them correct, if you need to make a correction, just type the correction. You don't have to backspace, you don't have to fool around. Just keep entering information in this exchange area until everything comes out hunky-dory. Now, I'm going to mute this again, and we're going to go back and say open the log. Same one. This time we're going to change the associated files. I used remembered my SSCW from last year, and that was great. And that was an advantage. If you're trying to use CW default messages and edit them every time, that's probably wasting the effort, because if you've taken the time to change it for a certain contest, why not use the same one again next year? But every time you've erased the CW default messages, you've lost whatever changes you've made. So what do? Well, there's 2 ways to do it. You can either start with something that's close, or you can use one of the ones that's available on the internet. So there's 2 ways to do that. One would be the newest CW mode function keys for the macros for that matches this contest is the SSCW template dated 2020. Is it okay to download this and assign it? Sure, why not? Let's try it out. So now it has changed from SSCW to the SSCW template. And let's see what that does. So we say okay. And I can tell you that the templates, although they work, they weren't made by someone who's an avid contester. The actual information stored in them is probably not usable. So let's see what happens if we call CQ. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I'm muted. All right. All right, not too bad. I might change it. My exchange. So let's work somebody else. Let's work K300. Oops, not 00, not 0000. Something wrong here. It's stuck in a loop or something. That was funny. So let's take a look at it. All right, my call, sweepstakes. I might change it to sweepstakes, my call. That's fine. Exchange, number, your precedence, my call, your check, your section. Oh, they really want me to change this. All right, so I want to change it to the number, then my precedence. All right, my precedence was uniform. And then my call, that's correct. Then my check. All right, my check is 67, and my section is Eastern Pennsylvania. And get rid of that. It actually sent all that. That was pretty silly. Okay, thank you, my call SS. That to me, that's too much. Either thank you, my call. If somebody's waiting for the end of my call sign, we already know that I'm in SS. Or if somebody's waited for my contact to finish, he already knows I'm in SS. I don't have to send SS. You can say thank you, my call. All right, but thank you, my call is kind of redundant. Just let it send the thank you, and then if you want to just send your call after that, hit F4. So I would take my call out of there. All right, F6, QSO before, and that's an option that you can set up. That'll work, QSO before. So we'll leave it in there. We'll see what happens if K3WJV calls us again. section again, number, precedence, that's fine. QRL, this is my call. I probably wouldn't send I just send QRL. And here all this should be pretty much the same, so number, all right, they want from the number to the U, so Control C to copy, come down here and get rid of all this jazz and hit Control V. Great. Okay. And if if I'm not going to send his call and thank you when I log the contact, I don't want to send anything when I log the contact. He would be real upset if after he acknowledged my call I called him again and said thank you. All right. And I don't know if I would send his call either. This exclamation point sends his call. I would probably say R, and then maybe an R. Up to you. I don't send NR anymore. It takes longer, but you will find that a lot of people will send their number before, so that it means like get ready to. It's kind of like the please copy of CW. I don't put it in. Some people do. A lot of people do put NR in before they send the number. It's kind of like the get ready set. Please copy. Here it comes. All right, my call, his call. Great. Nothing used in F6. Because we don't work dupes when we're in search and pounce. Section again, everything else is the same. Wipe, great. And here's special instructions. It says, all right, this requires editing. This message file cannot be used as is, requires editing, and all the editing we just did. Great, we'll save that, and now it's okay. So what happens with K300 again? And he comes back and he sends me number 6, V, and then I hit enter. F4, no answer, hit enter. Now K3WJV calls me again later, and I hit enter. It says dupe. I hit enter. Work. Apparently, we've told it in configuration to work dupes. Probably in here somewhere. Enable it to run dupes. And another thing that you do have to check here is enable call history lookup. But you've probably already got that set up. But if you don't get this automatic fills here, enable call history lookup, fills it in. And that should be just about it. So, let me show you one more thing before we disappear. I'm going to change the receiver so it's not making noise. I said that in addition, for sweepstakes, this probably wouldn't apply. But I do want to show you the technique. It says, okay, you're not able to do anything here. We're going to wipe this contact. And we're going to open the log and come back to associated files. Now, let's say this was a state QSO party and I already had the one that was something similar, or I already had a macro file that was close to what the exchange was going to be. You can click change, and instead of downloading, you say no. And notice I've got a whole bunch of these. You probably don't have a whole bunch of these. And I tend to name them for what mode they are. So I've got CW, where the exchange is just the state. CW, where it's just the ARRL section. CW default messages, that's my daily DXing operating. So the exchange is 599 and thank you and all that jazz, and it's got my name and junk like that. CW grid, that's the Stu Perry contest. CW name and state. All right, name it. That's for me. That's CWTs. Let's say that I say, okay, well, name and state, that's pretty close. How can I create a new macro file from something that's already close? So here's CW serial numbers. All right. I'm going to right-click the one that is already close to what I want, and I'm going to choose copy. And then without doing anything here, I'm going to right-click and click paste. And now I have a copy of serial number. And finally, I'm going to take the copy and right-click it again and rename it. And this would be my new CW, whatever it's going to be. I'm just going to call it CW demo. So here's my CW demo file. And I say OK. Where's CW demo? Click it. So now it says CW demo macro. Click the open button. And now CW demo is in use. I say OK. And what's being used now is CW demo, which was a copy of just serial numbers. So the exchange was just 599 in the exchange, and the serial number is in the exchange already. So this is my get spotted string, CQDEK2XR. Most of my CQs do not have DE. CQDEK2XR gets spotted by RBN for sure. And I'm going to go back here one more time. That was just to show you how to create a clone of an existing one. So I'm going to open this one more time, go to Associated Files, and I'm going to change this back to my CW SS. So where is it? CW SSCW perhaps? SSCW. And now I'm back to my original configuration that I had before. So hopefully that will take care of getting you both set up, and any minor questions that you have you can post to me in Slack or via email or however. K2XR, ending this particular recording.